Conversation is going to be powerful. I want to remind all of you joining us, right? I am joined by someone who doesn't just talk about wealth, but he actually designs it. Guys, I'm excited. Dr. Henrique Dimo is a wealth and tax architect and founder of the very solid Wealth Smart Advisor Group. This man works with professionals and entrepreneurs who are earning well, but for some reason, they just can't feel like they're getting ahead. But you know what? Even those who want to move from financial pressure to financial structure, he works with them too. Because let's be honest, making money is one thing, designing wealth is something completely different, and that's something Dr. Edimo masters, right? Dr. Edimo also specializes in helping high performers break free from financial stress by creating intentional wealth systems, especially around tax architecture and long-term wealth building. And today we are going to have him live on the show to talk about why so many high earners still feel broke even when they make so much money, and what a real wealth blueprint is, and what some of those real good tax strategies might be for you coming into this year. Ladies and gentlemen, join me. Welcome my man, my brother, all the way from the great state of Texas, Dr. Harry Dimo. Dr. Dimo, how you doing, man?
I am doing extremely well, my brother Gustav.
You're not doing well. You're doing extremely well.
Yes. As I usually say, every day above ground is a blessing. If anyone is joining us this evening, I want to start with a simple but uncomfortable question. Yeah, make good money, but still feel financially drained. Not because they are irresponsible, not because they're not working hard, but because something still feels tight. Here is the truth: high income does not automatically create wealth, structure creates wealth. I have worked with professionals, executives, and business owners earning six and even seven figures, and many of them still feel stuck. Why? Income without architecture, it's nonsense. Tonight, it's not about motivation. Tonight, it's about engineering. We're going to break down why high earners still feel broke, the difference between tax filing and tax architecture, and the three layers world blueprint that separate earners from owners. If you're serious about building wealth, sit back, make sure your seatbelt is tightened because the plane is about to take off. Good afternoon, my brother, and I'm happy to be here.
Dr. Harry Divo, this is a relaxing podcast for us to talk about some critical things. I know this is not a presidential campaign, man. Come on. That was some introduction, guys. Hey, if you are joining us, no matter where you're joining us from the world, please leave us a message. Let us know you are joining us. Let us know where you are joining us from. We usually like to know exactly where you're joining us from, please. Right? And don't forget, it's an open session. We generally love to have questions, guys, interaction, because even though it's a podcast, but we tend to present it in kind of a workshop format so that way everybody who watches us, who hangs out with us, can go home with something tangible, one or two strategies they can actually start implementing right now, this evening, and they'll be able to start seeing results. Dr. Edimo, always a pleasure to have you, man. You're not looking a day older than 21 today. What's the secret, man?
I'm telling you, since I stopped that alcohol, a lot of rejuvenation has been going on, man. Rejuvenation. You see, I'm having some iced tea this afternoon. I just
I
said, let me
see.
tweak it a little bit. Some unsweet iced tea with some ice. Again, I'll tell you, there are certain changes that you might not understand the impact, but when you get to start seeing the results, when your shirt start feeling flex on your body, you know that you're doing something right.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, right? Now, when you start having some results, your shirt starts feeling flex. The next thing you're thinking about, oh, your clothes are getting too big. Now you need a new wardrobe. Right? I want to say a big
Absolutely.
welcome to our friend and brother all the way from San Antonio too. Jerome. Jerome Ta is a dedicated, hardworking young man. He's determined to change the trajectory of his life. He is focused on making sure that the bandwagon of financial freedom doesn't pass him by. Hey, Jerome, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, I know Jerome. Jerome is my friend here in San Antonio, and I see he's also a friend of yours. He follows you and he's always active.
Oh,
Again,
yes.
building wealth is intentional. It's not passive. So those that take this thing serious, they will for sure end up in a better place tomorrow.
No question about that. No question about that. Dr. Dimo, let's get down to business. We only have a little bit under an hour today, right?
Yep.
Now, I want you to tell me. I mean, you have a lot of experience dealing with different kinds of people from different professions, different backgrounds, different walk of life, right? But from your experience, why do so many high earners, people making six figures, even multiple six figures, sometimes even getting close to seven figures, why do they still feel stressed and sometimes feel financially behind? What is the reason for that, you think, from your experience?
I'll tell you that is a very good question, my brother. I'll tell you, earning an income without a structure, um, earning an income without a structure won't build wealth. And you have to understand that income by itself, without it being architect and engineered, won't build wealth. Some people, they have gone to school, attended degrees, have high level paying jobs, but at the same time, they have no plan, they have no architecture, and they are not intentional. There are various buckets that folks have to understand. Whether you're making, that is why I always refer to your friend, Mr. Reed. He was a janitor, but this man had a plan. He architect, he architect his money, and he was intentional. And that was the reason why he ended up with multiple $1 million, despite the fact that he was a janitor. So those that are making six or seven figures without a plan, without it being architect, and without a structure and being intentional, they fall in the consumption trap. I'll tell you, lifestyle inflation is real. Do you remember those days when you were still in school, or maybe you were still a CNA? You were making 12 or $8 an hour. You could still live with that. You were thinking of that day when your salary or your paycheck will be $15 an hour or $20 an hour. There were days that I said, the day I'm gonna make $50 an hour, I will be like the world is coming to an end. We have
Uh-huh.
all gone through those phases in life. The question that we should be asking ourselves is, where are we financially? You build finance by accumulating assets. You don't build wealth by your income. That is why you see a lot of people playing maybe in the NBA or in the NFL or in soccer. When they are making that income, when that income is not architect and it's not structured and it's not intentional to continuously multiply, there is a high probability they will end up in poverty. Also, a lot of these people that are making these six figures and seven figures, they don't understand tax structure. Tax structure, there is compliance and there is strategy. Majority of the people that are making all this money, they are all into the compliance. They are waiting for January to get here for them to get their W-2s or their 1099s and meet up with their CPAs and their tax filers and just file taxes. They pick up all the remainder receipts in their shoe boxes and send it to their CPA. And their goal is to pay as minimal taxes as possible. That
Mm-hmm.
is not the way you build wealth. Do you know why the tax code was written by the rich, passed in Congress by the rich to support the rich? So we have to start thinking in that mindset. And
Wait
lastly,
a minute. Wait a minute. The tax code was written by the rich, passed in Congress by the rich, supported by the rich,
yeah,
for the rich.
yep.
Ah, ah, ah. Talk to me. Talk to me. Tell us
You
what we
know,
need to do.
we a lot of these high earners, right? They are asset poor but income rich. asset poor but income rich.
That's a powerful one. Guys, I hope you have your pen and your paper. Asset poor but income rich. There is a difference, right? So they are basically Henrys, high earners, not yet rich.
Yep. Having
Okay.
all these large houses, expensive cars, but low liquidity, low assets, no asset accumulation, no asset working for them. They're just one paycheck or two paychecks or letting them go to file for bankruptcy. You know, so a lot of these high earners, they don't automate their investments. They pay their mortgages, they pay their cars, they pay their lifestyle, but they don't invest. They don't. They put money in a savings account, which gives you 0.025%. And they have no written strategy. Hope it's not a plan. They have to
Absolutely.
start taking this seriously. So that is why some of these high earners they continue to struggle, brother.
Wow, wow, wow. That's powerful. I think a few things I captured from there. Number one, starting to understand how the tax code was written. You don't have to know the tax code,
Yep.
but understand the people who wrote them because they'll never write those codes against their own best interests.
Yep.
Number two, the second thing I captured from what you said, the government incentivizes people to find a way to own businesses.
Yep.
The third thing, you can be salary rich but assets poor.
Yep.
That to me is one of the takeaways tonight, guys. If you've been listening so far, we are glad you are on the line. We hope you're taking some notes. But once you understand that context, Dr. Dimo, you talked a little bit about the importance of taxation in this whole wealth building process. Before we even get to taxation, I want to find out from you. You certainly have dealt with a lot of different people, some of them clients, some of them pro bono consulting. The other day I saw you giving a wonderful presentation at the barber shop in San Antonio, starting to teach these young people how to start managing their money as they get into becoming certified barbers, right?
Yep.
Now, one of the key things is, I know you've certainly seen people who are making a good income, right? But who at some point realize, hey, I make good money, but I'm not actually building wealth. It might have even happened to you or some people you know around you. When you were able to diagnose with them, what was missing in that structure for them? Why were they not, even though they were making good income, they were not still able to be building wealth?
Again, it starts with a mindset. I'll tell you, there are times I've made $7 an hour. There are times I've made $100 an hour. There are times I've made $120 an hour. Right now I charge $2.99 for my first hour and $4.99 after that.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a mindset shift. There were
Absolutely.
times that whenever I get paid, me paying myself first was to go to the outlet mall and buy Gucci and buy Ferragamo and go to Louis Vuitton and go to whatever stores you have
Mm-hmm.
down there at San Marcos. But I'll tell you, I've worked with numerous kind of people. It takes you have to be intentional. In building wealth, you have to be intentional. If building wealth was that easy, all of us could have been very wealthy. It's
Very
hard.
true. Very
It's
true.
hard.
Very true. So, but somebody will say, listen, I understand all the things you are saying, but I just don't earn enough. What do you say to that person?
If you classify yourself not earning enough, there is nothing like enough. I come back to the fact that if Mr. Reed, could invest every single time they get paid to build I don't know, it's
An
$8 million.
8 million nest egg.
Yeah,
He never made more than 35,000 a year.
thank you. So what excuse do you have to tell me? Do you know why a lot of people do that? Because they don't know how to automate their investments and they pay themselves last. And
So no
sometimes
structure.
some people don't even pay themselves. They believe that paying themselves is going to the mall.
Uh-huh.
That's them paying themselves. Do you know that that is how I believed as well? That paying yourself first was giving yourself a treat?
Wow.
Until I had this mentor, this coach, And a lot of us don't have coaches. A lot of us
Yeah.
don't have mentors. You can be the best surgeon, but you can be asset poor for the rest of your life, despite you're making $500,000 or three-quarter of a million every year. You need to find yourself. You know why we go to the hospital and you don't get sick and go to, say, go meet a soccer player to treat you? Because you go to the right person. So when you have financial, when you're making money, find a right person that you trust to align yourself with to help you. If you look at all these wealthy people, most of them have coaches.
Sure.
For if you're an athlete, if you have a coach that helps you to be strong physically, why don't you think when you have money, you need a financial coach to guide you to make right financial decisions? Or why don't
Absolutely.
you think when you get sick, you have to go to the hospital so that the doctor can figure you out, diagnose you, and make you get well? A lot of people, they do all these things, but guess what? When it comes to finances, they hide. Either they are ashamed of where they are from what they put out there for people that don't like them to see, or they think that they know it all. They go out there and they make all these stupid mistakes.
Wonderful. Very
So the
true.
choice is yours.
You're very right, especially because a lot of times people underestimate how important a coach is, or at least how important a mentor is. I tell people all the time, I say, no matter how experienced a truck driver is, he or she is not a pilot,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
That's the reality. But, anyways, let's change gears, Dr. Dimo. You talked about, I've heard you use the word strategy about 4 times in the last 10 minutes since we started, right? And strategy certainly doesn't only apply to investing, but it also applies to different things around wealth building, like tax, right? Like taxes, like mindset, like planning, and all of that good stuff. Now, in your view, what is the difference between simply filing taxes and designing a tax strategy and architecture?
Very good question. As a wealth strategist and tax architecture, you have to look at filing a tax is looking backwards. You're trying to be in compliance with the law. Strategy is looking forward.
That's a very
And
huge difference, Dr. Edimo. And not that I want to intercept here, but I think I want you to ruminate a little bit around that area, because that is one of the areas when it comes to taxation in this country, 99% of people don't know the difference. You see, everybody who files taxes is doing the best job possible. Even me, I only learned about something called the tax strategist about 5 years ago, right? But I didn't even really understand the difference until recently. And now you put it in the best way. A tax filer is looking retrospectively. What has already happened? You don't have no control over that. And then a tax strategist is planning for the future. I really want you to talk about those two concepts in depth, because that is what anybody watching us right now, or at any point that you watch this show, take these concepts Dr. Edimo is going to talk about and ask your tax person whether they can strategize for you for the next year.
absolutely. If you can talk to your tax strategies and or your tax filer or your CPA and talk to them about how you can be strategic, how you can look forward, what are the things that you can do from a forward looking perspective in order to minimize your tax burden, and they can give you real tangible results, then you're in good hands. If you talk to your tax filer, ask them that, and they don't really have a good strategy for you how to move on with that, then you'll have a problem. You need a tax strategy. As I rightly said, compliance or filing taxes is looking backwards. That simply means maybe your entity in itself, it's not even the right entity that you find yourself. But guess what? Your filer does not understand that. Your filer lets you do whatever, and you come to your filer in January with all the receipts, hoping that with all the fake receipts that you take from Goodwill and all of that in order to minimize your tax burden, hoping that okay, rather than you paying 20,000, they can help you to pay 10,000. That is all a tax filer can do for you at that time because the mess has already been done. So you don't have that much control over what can be done to you. But talking to a tax strategist that looks forward, right? This tax strategy helps you to understand the right entity that you are in your business. Being in the right entity can help you with respect to some tax strategies as well as some loopholes that are in the tax code to help you save. I'll give you an example. Find an entity or an entrepreneur that is making $200,000 a year. What most of them will do, they'll have a credit card. They take vacations, they bill to that credit card. They go to the store, they bill to that credit card. They do everything and they bill to that credit card. So they create, they consume, and they end with zero. A right person that has a tax strategist that helps someone that's making $200,000 or $250,000 in their entity, what they do is, first of all, what entity are you in? Secondly, you have to pay yourself. Paying yourself, you take some money out of that 250, and you can, number one, create your own retirement, maximize your Roth. You can as well from that 250 pay your kids. You can pay your kids. You can start that Roth for those kids as early as possible. Third, you can have some deductions. If you have a company, you know that there is something called an Augusta rule that you can deduct money from your adjusted gross income based on how much money you made for either board meetings. Do you know that there is something that they call, for instance, an HSA optimization? Have you heard about a solo? Have you heard about a CISA? Have you heard about a golden? If your tax filer or your tax person cannot really explain this to you, and you end up paying 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 to the IRS, that is a problem. Do you know why Donald Trump paid $75? Because they had a right tax strategist and they know how to use the tax code. The tax code wasn't meant for you to pay taxes. The tax code was meant for the rich to understand, take advantage of it, and pay as minimal taxes. But unfortunately, the poor, they think that the tax code was meant to penalize them. Until we start understanding the difference
Correct.
and getting to understand that you have to have a strategist, despite the fact that you still have a filer, that will save you incredible amount of money, especially those that have businesses that are paying over $50,000 to the IRS.
That is awesome. Wow, that's a wonderful breakdown. But now let's talk about this the retroactive filing. That is quite understandable. Now let's turn our eyes a little bit and look towards the proactive filing, right? What changes practically in how a person who is using a tax strategies? What changes practically in how they earn or how they invest or how they structure their income?
Great question. Again, depending on what business you find yourself, depending on how much money you make in your business, depending on how much wealth you want to build, it's not one size fits all on everybody. And that's why tax strategies, they charge up to $5,000, $10,000 an hour. Because whatever you can sit with these tax strategies that helps you in your business, you use that every year to create wealth. I know of a tax strategist that charges $250,000, $1,000 a day. You and I were in that conference that we
Correct.
paid $8,000 to go to.
Mhm.
That guy, he charged $250,000 a day to just sit with your team. He brings his team, they strategize for you, and you take it to your CPA or to your tax filer to help you implement that. They don't implement that for you. But you know what? They save you millions and millions of dollars.
That's a
So
fact.
when I sit with my clients, what I do for them one time, if they don't save, again, that's why it's not everybody that I do tax strategy on. You must be paying at a minimum $50,000 to the IRS before I can even take a look at your papers. Because at the minimum, if I can help you save 30,000 out of that 50,000, that's 30,000 in investments that you can start building wealth with. But you know
It's a
what?
fact.
Majority of the people, they just want to run down all what they make every year to get back to zero and start again.
Correct.
And that is the issue that we are having, and many people, they end in poverty.
That's amazing, especially because a lot of people will tell you personal finance taxes is boring. Okay. But based on what you are explaining here, I don't really think anybody needs to be an expert. I think you just need to know where to go, the
Yep.
kind of people to go to, and the kind of questions to ask them, basically. And then you'll get the right kind of answers. And I like the fact that you talk about the saving capacity of a tax strategies, because it's one of those things where a lot of times people get caught up with what they have to pay, but they never look at what they get saved from,
Yep.
which is very huge. I was attending a seminar. I'm actually attending a 3-day challenge on how to build profitable webinars and optimize them, right? And this guy was talking about the strategy he uses for his company. And one of the things he said is where his company is at right now, they spend $1 million on ads on Facebook and Instagram every month,
Wow.
every month to run ads, right? So the natural question that started coming, people were putting in comments, whoa, so how much do you get in return? And he said, well, you guys do the math. If ad spend is only about 3% of my revenue, is $1 million a lot to spend in a month?
Not at
Who
all.
cares? Right? It's about, no, he said it was like 10% of his revenue.
Yep.
Who cares? Right? It's the same thing with tax strategies. In fact, you talked about mindset at the beginning, and I think this is one of another very critical thing people need to understand. Don't worry about what the professional is getting. Forget about that. That is not your business. Worry about what you are getting. If the professional is asking you to pay them 10,000 and they can save you 30,000, who is on top?
Thank
If you
you.
don't like it, go give IRS the 30 grand. That's the way I look at life generally,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So, but I like that, Dr. Edimo. Let's keep moving here. I think we have some very interesting topics to come, guys. And if you are on the line, let us know you're on the line. Hang on with us. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section. We are going to ask that question. But Dr. Edimo, one of the things you do is you teach people how to really build wealth, right?
Yep.
If you had to break wealth building into layers or stages, what would those layers look like? And why do most people skip some of them? So
You
think about
know,
wealth building like a house,
yeah.
the foundation.
I wrote on my social media yesterday. Yesterday was one of a really powerful day for me because I have made it a commitment to teach at a minimum 10 million people about financial literacy
Awesome.
before I wish this world goodbye.
Fantastic.
And I said to myself, I'm going to go to schools, to communities, and I'm going to preach it and do it for pro bono. I started this yesterday. I met with some students at a barber school. They were really, really excited. Majority of them were wowed with what I showed them. Unfortunately, we didn't have that much time. But what I've decided to do is I'm gonna create a 2 hour session via Zoom to help some of these kids just open an investment account, just start investing, even if it's $5, to start getting that. Yesterday, I had over 30 of them. They just wanted to open an account, they wanted to get it going. Again,
Mhm.
I didn't have time. So I was like, when I go to these places, as long as there's interest, I'll send my information, create an invite, and meet with them and get that process for them started. So why I said that, yesterday I felt as if I was meeting part of my purpose,
Yes.
because I'll tell you, there were folks there of all walks of life, of all ages, and some of them had zero investments, even being in their 40s and 50s. Some of them, they have heard about investments, but they don't even know how to go about it. Some of them have heard about the stock market, but the ideology about the stock market is it goes up and comes down, and you have to sit on your computer 24 hours a day to watch it. This is all we have because this is not being taught in schools. I studied finance in my undergrad. I did an MBA, but I'll tell you, nobody ever told me about the stock market or how the stock market works. I don't know whether it's intentionally done in order to make sure that the poor remain poor and become consumers in order to boost the economy, or it's just an aside. But I think I get to think that it's not an aside or to keep the poor from getting a bit of the cake. Because the Trump administration, that's why they came up with the Trump plan, where they're giving every kid born as of January 1st of 2025 $1,000 in an investment account, and they're asking companies to match that and parents to invest. That is one of the best things with respect to investing. And if parents take upon this gift and build on that, for 20, 30, 40 years from today, there will be a lot of millionaire kids as opposed to how we were grown.
You're very right.
Going back to the three layers with respect to wealth blueprint. Number one layer is protection. You cannot build wealth when you're not protected. You cannot build wealth when you don't have an emergency fund.
True.
The market goes up and down. The past couple of weeks have been crazy. You can't just start putting your money in the stock market and hoping that if tomorrow you're laid off from your job, you have to go take that money there within the next 2 weeks or stuff. That money might be 10, 15% more than what you had put in there. Building wealth takes time. So that first layer of protection, it comes with an emergency fund. At the minimum, have 3 to 6% of your monthly expenses in a high yield savings account.
I mean 3 to 6 months.
Yep. In a high yield savings account. I'm emphasizing this. Don't just go put your money in Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or all these big banks.
High yield savings.
They'll pay you 0.00025%. So your money is losing money every year. The inflation that they're talking of 3%, that's not even true inflation. So if you have $100,000 sitting in a bank, by the end of this year, that 100,000 will be able to buy stuff worth about $92,000. So the real inflation is about 8%. Also, you should have an insurance plan. And when I mean an insurance plan, you should not be renting an apartment and you're going to buy a $1 million life insurance policy. An insurance policy is meant for you to protect you while in your working days and when you have little family that you have to take care of if unexpected happens. So if you take a look at your assets or your liabilities and how much you're paying, and you figure out what is the gap in that. So take, for instance, I'll give you an example. If my house is $200,000, I've paid $100,000, I'm owing $100,000. My kids' school, for instance, it's $20,000 a year. Living expenses, extra $20,000 to $50,000 a year. Calculate that till those. So that's $200,000, right?
Yeah.
Calculate that if something happens to you, okay? Your kids are 10, 11, 12, or 15 and 13. They have 3 or 4 more years to get out, go to college, maybe get their own job. Calculate that and figure out what gap do you have in there. You should take insurance to feed up with the gap that you have, so that if tomorrow you pass, they can get that 100,000 to pay down that house. Your family can have a little money to continue pay the student to go to school. Your wife can have a little money to get things going, not just going to get a $1 million policy. Meanwhile, you're still living in an apartment. You don't even own an asset. Number two, if you're younger, you can get a term life insurance. Term life insurance, you can get it for 20 to 30 years at a very little amount. With that, you can get it based to catch up with the gap again. Thirdly, on this protection is estate planning. Majority of us, we don't have a will, we don't have a trust, we don't have anything, but we have all these assets. If we happen to pass tomorrow, there'll just be too much confusion, because I didn't want my wife to know this. I didn't want my family to know this. But you know everything, and they have to come start digging into this office to figure out what did this man have or what did this man have. A lot of families, they have lost assets as a result of the fact that husbands don't communicate with their wives, wives don't communicate with their husbands. They don't understand what asset they have. And when people pass, sometimes these assets, they are in limbo. Layer number two is growth. You have to take a look at your growth mechanism. What do you have in place? What assets do you have in place that will grow? Are you just depending on your income? As I said, income is not wealth. Wealth is building assets. Do you own a business? Do you have alternative investments? There are three ways in which you can build wealth. Starting a business, investing in real estate, and investing in the stock market. Income by itself won't build wealth, except you structure it in the right way. So that is the growth layer. The third layer is transfer. As you're building all this wealth, are you thinking of how you're going to expend or transfer this wealth? That's where a trust structure comes into place. When you pass on, where do you want your money to go to? Because majority of this money that we are building, there is a high probability we're not going to consume it. So the question here is, how do you want this money to be implemented? You don't want to pass on this money to kids that will just blow it off within a couple years without even understand how it works. Tax efficiency and wealth transfer, that's wealth number three. That's the layer number three. Trust structure, educational planning,
Yes, amazing.
tax efficiency, and wealth transfer. Those are the three layers that if you master them, if you work with a tax and wealth strategist to structure this for you, man, you are on a roller coaster to building extensive wealth over time.
That's incredible, Dr. Edimo. Now, the curious question I have, and I believe there will be many people out there, is there an income limit to implement these things? Must you be a high earner, or is there a certain amount, or it's a wise thing for everybody to do it at every level, because everybody, at no matter the income level, has something to lose if you're not well organized? What is your take on that?
This doesn't have any income bracket. What we do at Walmart right now, we are helping middle class people to get the services that the high end wealthy people do. Because I'll tell you, if you go to a tax and wealth architect, most of them will tell you, do you have $500,000 or more? If you don't have that, they can't even see you. But we are here to help those people. So some people will not even have access to this knowledge, to this information, to these resources that we are passing out here, based on their income and based on the limit or based on their assets. But this is something that everybody should do, no matter the asset or income class that you find yourself. Again,
That's
if
amazing.
Mr. Reed could build 8 million in his working life, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. You should be thinking and strategize.
Now, One of the things that come to mind when I'm listening to you, and just because we're talking a lot today about high earners, right? And again, high earners, what based on your experience, right? Which layer do you find the high earners struggle most with? Is it the income generation layer, the asset growth layer, or the protection and legacy layer? And why do you think they do struggle at those layer?
I'll tell you, these layers, it's not as if one layer supersedes the other layer. They work concurrently in order for you to build. But I'll tell you, high income earners, they struggle in the growth layer and the transfer layer. And again, the growth layer, this is where entities are built. This is where business ownership is structured. This is
Mhm.
where wealth, this is your wealth building machine. Without a better architecture and structure in this layer, everything will be everywhere. And even those that have businesses, the goal of these businesses is to one day sell these businesses at a high amount. Without a better structure, you're losing money in the future on how much you're going to sell your business. It's like all these people that are making money in their businesses, but they are writing everything down. There is a high probability that business will not have that much value 10, 20 years from today.
Mhm.
But if you have a business that shows that you're making money and you have all this structure to where this money is going, the person that has that kind of a business, as opposed to someone that writes everything down, the valuation of your business will be higher than yours. But unfortunately, a lot of business owners, they don't understand how business is structured. They don't understand how you even transition or sell, think of selling your business when you get to that age that you can't be functional or providing the services that you're currently serving now. So the growth structure, it's one of the most important structure. Because if you master the growth structure, if you streamline your growth structure, there will be, especially with the help of a wealth and tax architect, there is a high probability that this person or coach will align you with the right trustees and with the right legal firms to help you make sure that you have all those trust and all those tax education planning and wealth transfer put in place.
That's wonderful. And by the way, for everybody watching, on the 26th of February, I'll be hosting a webinar called the Clarity, Wealth, and Legacy webinar. And Dr. Dimo is going to be there. He's one of my guest speakers at that webinar, right? Guys, you should hop on to that webinar because we'll be breaking down concepts like this. We'll be giving clarity to where you are with your money right now. We'll be giving you practical strategies by which you can start implementing there, right there, and you can start seeing some progress with your life. In addition to that, you have a question and answer session for those who are going to join the VIP session. The webinar is 1 hour 30 minutes from 6 p.m. to 7:30 Central Standard Time, and then there's an additional hour for the VIP guests. So make sure you secure your seat. There is a link down in the description of this video, of this live video. You can look at that link, click on that link, and go ahead and book your ticket. We have very limited seating just because we want to make sure we're able to take care of everybody's needs. So that webinar is something you should consider attending. Dr. Edimo,
Yes, my brother.
I know we are rounding down towards the hour here, but one of the things I wanted to find out from you, I know the market has been dangerously red the last month. A lot of people are anxious. The unexperienced are wondering what is going on. The shaky hands are letting go of their positions, and the experienced hands like you and me are picking it up. Right? The wise ones who have some cash reserves are buying more and more assets at a discount. What are some of the stocks you've been loading up the last few weeks?
Just yes, 2 days ago, hold on 1 minute here. Just 2 days ago, I started limiting my position on software as a service companies
Mm-hmm.
because there is this ideology in the market that AI is going to be eating up into these software as service companies.
Mm-hmm.
So their market shares have been dropping pretty aggressively. So
Mm-hmm.
some of these companies have made reasonable amount of gains over time. So and I have been overweight in tech. So I was just like, it's time for me to start diversifying into
A
other
little
areas.
bit, yeah.
So I started looking again, and this is not any financial advice. This is what I'm doing in my portfolio. So I started looking into companies like Caterpillar, companies like Johnson and Johnson, and I also bought some AstraZeneca, which is a pharmaceutical company in Europe.
Mhm.
For index funds, you can go wrong with VOO, which is the broadband 50 top 50 stocks in the United States, VTI, which is top tech companies, and I also again there is projection that Europe and international stocks are going to do well this year.
Again this
So I
year.
also look into VIXOS, which is a broadband based ETF in the international space. So those are some of the things that I am diversifying and getting in with respect to some of my holdings.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, of course, too, in the last many months, there have been a lot of controversy around President Trump, some of his decisions, some of his policies, how it's affecting the economy, how it is costing people depreciation in their assets. In this time, in these precarious times, when there's a lot of confusion, right? There's anxiety. You and me know investing is a lot more emotional than physical and mental, right?
Yep.
What do you say to investors?
Let me tell you this. Um, Investing takes time.
Yes.
Investing is not gambling in the market. It's not going in and out of stocks. The best way to invest, and again, the best way to invest is to invest in broad index funds. If you're not that vested with respect to what the market is doing, and if you're not following or understanding what the market is, continuously automate your investments. Forget about all the noise that's going on in the market. That's all noise. It's
I
all
like that.
noise. If you, I'll tell you, those people that go in and out of the market, they underperform than those that lose their password on their portfolio.
Absolutely.
So if you should take this, number one, automate your investments. I have a lot of people here watching us from Nigeria. We have Christian Peters. We have a couple names here, and some from Europe and stuff. I usually
Awesome.
tell my folks, it gone are those days that you can just invest in the United States. If you're in Europe, if you're in Cameroon, if you're in Nigeria, if you're in Zimbabwe, there are stock brokerages out there. I'll tell you, 10,000 francs a month, 50,000 francs a month, 100,000 naira or 10,000 or whatever naira a month. 10, 15, 20, 25 years from today, you'll be surprised. But it's rather unfortunate that folks don't even take time to listen to free information that we give here. Wealth is built over time. Don't put 50,000 francs in a portfolio and tomorrow is 60. You get excited and you go consume it. You're not building wealth. It takes time to build wealth. That is why it is hard. I'll remind you, if wealth was easy to build, all of us could have been wealthy, but it is hard. So folks should start understanding that it takes time and they should automate their investments. They shouldn't treat their investments as the last bucket. They should treat it as the first bucket. And they should look at the leaks. I love the word the leaks. Where is your money
Oh,
going to? Where are you spending that money? Are you going out two, three times a week in bars and stuff? Again, there's nothing wrong with those, but if you're not investing, you should cut all those things out because your future is bleak. Your future is bleak.
very true. Very true. I mean, and Dr. Jimo, I really appreciate the way you put some of those things out there, right? I really think, especially when it comes to finances, this is a big part of our life, right? This is a very big and integral part of our life, and there is no reason why we must talk about this with a little bit of reservation. We should talk about it openly with a lot of courage, like you do, and a lot of clarity. Because, again, guys, it all starts with clarity, structure, and a repeatable system that basically you can follow, and it can lead you to exactly where you aspire to go. All right. So it's important that we understand that. But Dr. Dimo, before I come back for closing words from you, of course, we're already getting close to the end of the show. I wanted to just share my screen for a minute, right? I
Yeah.
just wanted to talk about the upcoming webinar because it's important that people really understand exactly why we are doing this, what we are trying to do, right? And exactly what motivates us to even want to do this. So, guys, here it is, right? If you can see my screen, right? These are all the things you're going to be getting from this webinar. It's a 1 hour 30-minute session for general admission, and it's an additional 1 hour for the VIP guest. Okay. And I want you to understand something. This is not a random inspirational session. No, if you're looking for inspiration, please, this is not the place. Okay. In this seminar, we are going down to the nitty gritty. It's more of a workshop because we're working on transformational stuff. Because by the end of the 90 minutes, these are the things we expect you to get to have. You have a clear understanding of where you currently stand financially. So no more guessing, right? No more overwhelm. You have a simple world building system you can follow consistently, even if you have limited capital. You also have a 90-day roadmap with specific actionable steps you can implement immediately. You will certainly have clarity on how to identify and activate your next income stream. But most importantly, you also build confidence because one of the things that is lacking for most people is that they don't have confidence in themselves. They don't believe that they can do it, right? We are going to share some stuff with you. And also remember, this thing is one year checkout is going to be 100% secure. But most importantly, guys, you have 7 days after attending the webinar. You have 7 days. If you feel like it didn't give value to you, you didn't like it for whatever reason, no question asked, send us an email and we refund your money. The reason we're doing that is because we are confident about what it is that we are going to deliver to you. And you must understand something, guys. You must understand some things. In addition to that, you're going to have 30 days which you can use to rewatch the recording of the webinar. It will be shared to you. You have 30 days if you bought the general access ticket, and you have 90 days if you bought the VIP ticket. Now, I just want to break it down so that way you at least see exactly what is it in that package. So in that package, you have a 90-minute live webinar, and that's the main event, which is with me. That's a value of $497. You're also going to receive a wealth clarity workbook. This book is a simple, clean workbook that gives you a way to understand your current income and spending audit. You have your ideal financial picture. You get an income structure model. You have savings, how much and where, how often. You also have a personal net income stream roadmap in this document. You also receive a 90-day money plan template. What this money plan does for you, which is a value of $147. It's a plug and play tracker to help you organize and monitor your finances so you finally feel in control, which is something most people have been struggling with, right? So you have an income tracker in it, you have a savings and investment tracker, you have a budgeting template, you have a habit tracker. What are your habits? What are the things you do unconsciously that is costing you time and money, right? But most importantly, guys, you also have the webinar replay, which is $197 value. You'll be brought into a 14-day accountability sprint, which is a private community where we mentor you, we continue to move you forward and give you encouragement. And in addition to that, there is also the bonus, the ultimate investment playbook. Now, this investment playbook, guys, if I had this playbook when I started my life in this country, I would have been a multi-millionaire by today. So by you getting this playbook, we are basically fast tracking your growth by about 10 years. Because with this playbook, you can basically just understand how to start implementing immediately to invest consistently, avoiding costly mistakes. You start building your portfolio and you start creating your own financial freedom playbook. The total value here is about 1,399, but for that day, the general admission ticket is only $97. I want you to pay attention to that. And for an additional $100, you get the VIP ticket, which gives you now access to a question and answer session with me. Of course, Dr. Edimo too will be there. I mean, you can ask some questions to him, right? We are going to be there to answer all the questions you want. So to me, when I look at this, it's really a gift. It's a giveaway because we are really saying that, listen, even if you attend this seminar, because I'll be offering you a way to work with me one-on-one. But even if you chose not to do that, which 95% of people chose, and I don't really care, right? The reality of the matter is, even if you don't do that, just the value you are going to get from just attending this webinar is more than anything you can ever imagine. A similar webinar like this, when I started my investment journey, was $2,500 for something even less than these guys. So this is no hype. We're just trying to show you what value lies there for you to understand that Dr. Edimo and I come here every Thursday. We don't come here because we lack things to do with our time. We come here because we really believe that it's part of our mission, part of our purpose to make sure that we can help other people be able to seek to get clarity and start to build something meaningful. So don't delay. I shared the link. But Dr. Edimo, any closing words from you?
Before I close, man, I'll tell you, those that are following us, those that are listening to us, please share this information. I will be very, very frank with folks, right? If I had this information 20 years ago, I could have been far, far ahead financially. I never even saw this kind of information. Or maybe I saw it, I thought that it was not useful. $97 or $197, that is a giveaway, man. For the amount of time that you spend with your team, the knowledge that you put out there, the giveaways. I just attended a webinar, 2-day webinar, 2 days ago, on Wednesday and Tuesday and yesterday from 8 p.m., from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. This was hosted by a guy in Australia. So that 2-day webinar was $999 just to teach me how to do options. And after that, they gave us an opportunity to join their community for $10,000. So this is free. This amount that you're charging is free. So folks should take advantage of it because you might not get this kind of information. And if you get this information and act just 50% of what you're going to learn, you'll be far better off than 90% of your peers. So go ahead, click on that link and register. To close, what do wealthy people do? They make investments. They don't buy Gucci in the beginning. They invest in Gucci and buy all the Gucci they want when Gucci start giving them dividends and the stock's price start going up. You know, we have to position clearly and confidently. If you're serious about moving from income to structured wealth, schedule a wealth assessment call with WallSmart Advisory Group. We will review your income structure, analyze your tax leakage, evaluate asset allocation, and build a customized blueprint that will position you for incredible wealth building for years to come. We don't just come here just to preach the gospel, but we just hope that a few folks will listen and act upon it. Because 20 years from now, it's just a couple years from today. Take action and you'll never regret it. I can't hear you.
Awesome. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And folks, I pray this has helped somebody out there. The most important thing, as you know, knowledge is not power. Knowledge followed by action is what is power. So don't just take it like a sponge and go sit on it. Take it like a sponge, go act on it, right? It's like you have a mango, you eat your mango and you have the seed. That is power, that seed. But the only way it can be meaningful power is if you plant the seed, then it grows into a tree and the tree can generate a lot more fruits, right? So let's go out there, share this information with other people, invite them to join our live show. We'll be back again next Thursday. And until then, be well, be blessed, and by all means, never stop being a blessing to somebody. Until the next time, we'll see you on the inside.
Ciao, my brother.
Absolutely.